Welcome to Hoaxie Gardens and Homestead. So seasons are changing, and right now we are in propagation mode and in preservation mode. We're dehydrating everything that we can that won't make it over the winter, and this plant right here falls into two categories. I will be removing the greens because this is a Thai basil. I will be moving the greens and we'll be dehydrating, but then I'm also going to do some propagating. Now, how do you know if a plant is a candidate for propagation? By cuttings. We look at this, and the most obvious thing about this plant is its pretty flowers here on top. You take those flowers and you put them through, and there's really not any viable seeds. I mean, it's hollow. So also then you look at the stalk. Is it kind of a woody or is it a very soft stalk? Well, we see that this is kind of woody. So this is a really good candidate for propagation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these off. And I will be cutting it all off to the ground. I won't be leaving anything here because we're probably going to get our first frost Friday. It's suspected anyway. Whether we do or don't, it will be coming soon, and this will not last through the frost. So I'm going to go ahead and take it up so that I can get all the basil that I can to dehydrate, and then I will propagate everything else that I have on here. I should get quite a bit. Now, when propagating, you always want to do more than you need in case, a couple don't make it. And come springtime, when it's time to put your plants out, if you have more than you need, you have some to give away to friends or neighbors. And friends or neighbors. Hopefully your neighbors are your friends. But to give away to others, and that way you can share your plants and other people can do the same with you. If we share our seeds and if we share our plants, and that cuts out so much of the price of our gardening. We could garden for free if everybody would share their plants and their seeds. So I'm going to take this up and I'll go back in and show you how to propagate it. Good bit. Okay, now I have the camera pointed down because I want you to see what I'm doing. And I will start with this. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to clip off the flowers. We don't want the flowers. They're not of any use to us. There's no seeds there. So, got off the flowers. Now, I'm going to take all my leaves so that I will have them to dehydrate so that I'll have basil throughout the winter. No, it's not the same as fresh, but I will say this, the basil that you dehydrate from your garden will be a much better product, as with everything else, a much better product than what you buy in the store. Now, what you're going to want, and I'm going to go ahead and take these off. Now, what you're going to want is you're going to want to look at the stem, and you're going to want 3 nodes. Now, we're going to come right up to this last one, and we're going to cut it to get rid of all that excess. And we see that here will be a node, there's a node, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take these off because that gives me my 3rd node. So this is a good stem for propagating. Now, one thing that I will do with this that I didn't do with the longevity spinach is I will use a root hormone. It's not necessary, really, but I like to use it. I just dip those last nodes in. And just like before, you want to be sure that there's no air around your stem. So I've got a little in the bottom. I'm going to stick that in, and then I'm going to come up behind. And I'm not going to push it down real heavy, but I do want to tap it. And there's my first cutting. And I'm going to do the rest of it this way. Let me do one more just so you can see what it is I do. Now, this one would probably be a good one. I'm going to cut off all this extra down here before the node. I'm going to get these off, and you're wanting to come up against your stalk when you do this. And I'm going to go ahead and take these off. And you can, well, this is kind of small, but it still has a couple of really good nodes. I'm not afraid of it. I think it'll root, and I'm going to put it in. There we go. That's a kind of a smaller one, but it's a good one. And I'll be filling up this tray in the same manner. The thing is, don't be afraid to try. You're not wasting anything just by trying. And this is the best way to propagate your own herbs, the ones that have the woody stems that don't have seeds. Because if you go buy these, especially if you want them throughout your garden, they can be expensive. But you buy one good plant, and from then on, you propagate your own, and now you're gardening for free. And you can have them everywhere and anywhere you want. So I hope that you too will get out into your garden and do some propagating and prolong the life of your plants. Get them throughout your garden, because the flowering ones are very important, not just so that we have the herb basil, which is an awesome herb to have, but not just so that we can have that. They do a flowering on top that is very, very pretty, so it does add some ornamental to your garden, and it's very pretty, but the pollinators love them. I'm going to be doing the same thing with my pineapple sage, which is another one the pollinators love, and so do I. When they're in full bloom with that red flower on top, they're just beautiful. But it's another one that, just like the Thai basil, it's very easy to propagate, and so that you can have it all throughout your garden and have some to share with your friends and neighbors. So thank you for joining me today. Subscribe if you haven't already, and happy gardening.